Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am Lucas Tietzen and this is Blues News Media. Now, if you thought that the COVID-19 pandemic was going to go away anytime soon, unfortunately, you might be sorely mistaken, because this is coming out just now of the World Economic Forum, and it is discussing, as it is titled here, this white paper, Resetting the Future of Work Agenda, Disruption and Renewal in a Post-COVID World. And now a white paper is not exactly a hard blueprint. It's more of just a suggestion, more floating out of ideas. This is often carried out by these institutions. They're more just being like, well, what if we do this? We might have to do this. And it kind of gauges the public's reaction to see whether or not they can go ahead and carry out the things that they already have planned. Now, if you do not know about the World Economic Forum, it was started by a very wealthy and powerful man by the name of Klaus Schwab, who conveniently came out with a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. You might have been hearing this a lot more, The Great Reset, which is basically saying that because of COVID-19, it has created such a grand crisis, and there are so many other massive problems going on in the world right now. We need to just reset the clock, wind back the tape, and start anew, start fresh. And luckily, we'll just have the these billionaires that caused all the problems reset the world in their image, because I'm sure everything will be all right then. But now this is just one small factor of what is known as the Great Reset, which is mainly going to create a centralized form of global governance where everything is ruled by technocrats and artificial intelligence, and basically humans will be, left at the wayside, the open mouths to feed. You will have no real active role in this future that is already being predicted for you. And this is a good example of it. Now, this is a paper that's 31 pages long, so I'm not going to go ahead and read all of it for you. I'm just going to kind of touch upon some of the bigger things that is discussed in this paper. But as always, everything that we have shown here will be included in the show notes for you to read for yourselves, and I greatly encourage you to go ahead and read this, because I think it is a very telling paper about what exactly is to come. And a big theme for this paper is that it is going to basically start moving everything away from the workspace and into more of the digital realm. I mean, and we've seen this push of working remotely, working from home. It's everywhere right now. And this is basically saying that, this is the future. More and more people are going to be working from home. But naturally, they go ahead and paint it in the way that, this is, for everyone's own good, for your own benefit. It's going to be cool, hip, and trendy, and everybody's going to love it. Even though, as we will see later on, it is actually quite detrimental to people's health and their financial well-being and privacy. But it is going to go ahead and talk about here that before COVID-19, less than 25% of businesses, so the majority, they barely offered any work from home positions. But then after the COVID-19, during and of course pre and post-COVID, it's going to explode. Everybody's going to be working from home, and everybody's going to love it, right? Everybody's going to just adore it, even though, there have been a lot of signs of more stress and anxiety around all of this, which we're going to touch on right now. But a big factor of this paper is that more and more people will not go back to the office. More people will not have a reason to leave their house, interact with people, kind of enjoy life. Instead, you will be pushed back further and further into your box. Oh, work from home. Oh, here's another stay-at-home order. Oh, here's the nice lockdown for you. Just stay home, relax. We got this. It's fine. Even though we can see that because of these lockdowns, because of these, orders and the societal push to stay at home, we are seeing this more and more. This is from Psychology Today. And the title of this article is Anxiety and Depression Symptoms Have Risen Dramatically During the Pandemic. And again, I'm not going to read through all of this. It'd be kind of boring if I just sat here and read everything to you. But this is talking about how ever since the pandemic started and people are being forced to stay inside, cutting off the beautiful connection that you have with other human beings is detrimental to people's mental health, especially, and if anybody's been paying even the slightest bit of attention to younger people, suicide rates keep rising among young Americans. This is completely destroying the mental health and well-being of not just our nation, but the world. Everybody is suffering as we are being forced into a corner and told not to interact with people, not to have Thanksgiving with your family. It is hurting people. But yet, we gotta, what was it now? Flatten the curve, slow the spread, whatever mumbo jumbo mantra that people want to recite to make themselves feel like they have the moral high ground. They don't really care, apparently, about the other deaths like suicides. That's just a non-issue, or people losing their jobs because of these massive lockdowns that destroyed the global economy. It doesn't matter if they're starving deaths. We've always had those. Those are old. Those aren't exciting. But the COVID deaths, now that's something to discuss. But the very fact that this paper is strongly pushing for more and more people to start working from home, this is going to have even more major mental health implications for the people. And I feel like that is seldom being discussed. And it needs to, because it's only going to get worse as we are basically forced to recede more and more into our households. But also, this talked about greatly of how there will be essentially job loss. Naturally, there has to be job loss. You destroyed the economy. Luckily, they addressed that little tidbit in this as well. But in this, they mainly say, they kind of pay, they whisper about, automation might come ahead and fill in the role. But otherwise, a great deal of jobs will be lost. There'll be a bit, of an increase in some sectors. But by and large, we are going to take a massive hit, and many people are going to go without jobs. And we can even see that already taking place. This is from the World Economic Forum themselves. This article is entitled, "The Pandemic is Speeding Up Automation and 85 Million Jobs Are on the Line." And now this was back in October 21st. Right now, it is November 25th, day before Thanksgiving, the day before you better not go see your family. This is going to, and talking about how there is massive, massive job losses. And guess what? Even after the pandemic, if anything even really like that exists at the end of this dark, dark tunnel, doesn't mean your job's going to be waiting there for you. Automation is accelerating at a very rapid pace. And like it or not, it's coming. And now, that again ties into people maybe not even being able to afford food for their families then. But we don't talk about that in this COVID world because it's COVID all the time. But I do think it kind of is beneficial to mention that though there were a lot of pandemic war games discussed, I believe it was from all the way back to 2017 to 2019 that predicted global pandemics, usually some of them centered around a coronavirus. There was also something similar like this war gamed back in 2010 that we here at Blues News Media discussed greatly and actually went over in great detail. And that is from the Rockefeller Foundation. They put out this paper called Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. Now, looking at this in a big picture, it's pretty eerily similar to what is going on. For those of you that may have not watched our series on that, I greatly encourage you after this video to go ahead and watch all 4 of those in its entirety. But it's broken up into 4 sections. And I'm going to pull them up here. The first one, on lockstep, actually talked about a pandemic sweeping the nation, destroying the economy, and massive civil unrest. And Smart Scramble even says here, an economically depressed world in which individuals, communities develop localized makeshift solutions to grow to a growing set of problems. I mean, and in Clever Together, I know they even talked about shocks to the economy. And I mean, you should have heard it. Please go and watch it. But they discussed in great detail how the economic gap is going to widen and how basically there are going to be seas of the masses, the unwashed, the new homeless and poor, while there are, I mean, quite literally ivy towers erected above the wastelands looking down on the poor. This was all war gamed out. This was already all predicted. And I just think we're seeing the next step of that with the destruction of the global economy and everything that goes along with it. So that bears in mind. This is a very important document in of itself, but also please go and read the World Economics Forum, the Future of Work agenda, because that is going to become more and more prevalent as maybe if they start rolling out a vaccine and we're going to, get back to normal, whatever that may be. But speaking of normal, I do think it is worth mentioning also. Many people think, Lucas, no, submit, just quit it. Like, stop fighting it. It's coming no matter what. If you just take the vaccine, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. We can get back to normal then. We can just get back to our normal lives, get rid of the mask. It'll be beautiful. No more social distancing. Except even one of our Lord and Saviors himself, Fauci, actually discussed this not too long ago, saying that masks and social distancing likely to go into 2022. You see, it was never really about the virus. They were always going to keep pushing this down the line. But it says here even, during the conference, he said wearing masks and practicing social distancing will likely be necessary toward the end of 2021 into 2022, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported. It says, quote, I feel very strongly that we're going to need to have some degree of public health measures continue, he said. Maybe not as stringent as they are right now, but nevertheless, they will be in place still. It was never going to go away. It's never going to go away unless people like us start standing up and saying this is a load of crock, chicanery. And we need to call it out like it is right here, right now, because it will only keep getting bigger and bigger as the storm kind of just rolls over the land and gaining speed. But not even Fauci keeps saying that he wants to implement these measures still, even after the pandemic is done. We even see here, the U.S. Army wants industry to keep COVID safety rules in place after the pandemic ends. And if you go into this article, this is talking about the companies themselves, which we were just talking about in this paper, which is talking about new measures that need to take place. It will keep in place, what was it talking about? How they will, keep wearing the masks, keep at a distance just because the coronavirus may be done, but there might be another new scary boogeyman around the corner at any moment, at any time, and we need to be prepared for that. So, you have to stop deluding yourselves. If you think, when 2021 comes, or when Joe Biden gets in office, or whatever the case may be, once that one magical event happens, this bad dream will be over, I'll wake up and I can get back to my life. That's not going to happen, and it was never going to happen. And that is a cruel, dark reality we need to wake up to right now. And I know we all have it within us to do that. We just have to make that little effort. It's scary. It's scary. I'll be the first to admit, but I know we can do it. So long as we have each other, we can truly achieve anything. We just have to keep that in mind going forward with whatever this world has in store for us. But I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Please go and read all of these articles for yourself. This paper is only 31 pages long, does not take long to get through. Please read it. Share it with your friends and family. If you like what we do here at Blues News Media, please consider liking or sharing, subscribing to this channel and video, and help us grow so that we can get the message out there together. And as always, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We're on Minds. If you could follow us on YouTube, BitChute Library. If you have a great article that you want to recommend, but you don't want to get in contact me through those platforms, you can always email me at bluesnewsmedia@protonmail.com. I would love to hear from any and all of you just about how we're doing. Did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? If you just want to share thoughts, ideas as you watch this, I am always all ears. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Lucas Tietzen of Blues News Media, but if you take one thing away from this episode, hopefully it'll be this: ignorance isn't bliss.